Putin Bad News Reasons why Kadyrov's private militia can't fill Russia's Wagner-shaped hole. Many observers predicted that forces loyal to Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov would step in to fill the void left by the Wagner Group's mutiny against Russia's military leadership. Have these Kadyrovtsi replaced the mercenaries now that Wagner is effectively banned from operating in Russia and Ukraine? The short answer is no. While the Kadyrovtsi are technically part of Russia's National Guard, they are more suited to counter-terrorism-style policing, and Kadyrov has his sights set elsewhere. Over the course of the Ukrainian conflict, the discrepancy between the Kadyrovtsi's reputation as the Chechen strongman's fearsome personal army and reality has been glaringly obvious. Kadyrov's forces were initially given high-profile missions, such as seizing Mariupol and the Azovstal steel plant and allegedly being ordered to assassinate Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. They were unsuccessful in accomplishing both goals. That's why they're so well known for desertion control, squabbling over loot, and standing in the shadows while the action unfolds so they can pose for propaganda videos on Kadyrov's Telegram channel. And we still don't know the full extent of how they've been treating civilians in occupied parts of Ukraine. However, the Kadyrovtsi excel when it comes to brutality toward innocent bystanders. There has been little evidence of a redeployment of the Kadyrovtsi to the front line since May, when a member of the Sheikh Mansour Battalion, a Chechen volunteer unit defending Ukraine since 2014, reported that the Kadyrovtsi were not present. It's likely that this omission was deliberate. The Kadyrovtsi were among the first to push toward Kyiv during the initial month of the all-out invasion. Kadyrov was forced to change strategies and publicly reprimand his commanders after their failure during this operation. Adam Delimkhanov, Kadyrov's most trusted lieutenant, replaced the Kyiv front leaders after they were called back to Chechnya. After being thoroughly discredited as a conventional military force, Delimkhanov was ordered to resume the «clean sweep» operations to which the Kadyrovtsi are accustomed. The Chechen leader's troops, due to the nature of this SWAT-like operational style, avoided the front lines. Kadyrov is not fighting alongside Putin because he shares his genocidal goals. Rather, he is doing so because of the personal gain it will bring him. Kadyrov was negotiating for major financial stakes in Mariupol and offering to help with the reconstruction of the Donetsk region while the Azovstal plant was still under siege. These strategies have been successful so far. Kadyrov's pet project, the Russian Spetsnaz University, which trains the elite Akhmet Group special forces, saw a threefold increase in revenue in 2017. After the July nationalization of Danone Russia, Kadyrov's nephew was appointed as the new company head. Kadyrov has also used the war to elevate his children to positions of prominence in Chechnya's government and public sphere. Given the current political uncertainty in Russia and his paranoia about a possible new insurgency in his North Caucasus Republic, these are all parts of his efforts to solidify the position of his family. Since the mercenaries' failed rebellion, the Kadyrovtsi have essentially continued their activities from before the mutiny, making it abundantly clear that they have not stepped into Wagner's role. The Kadyrovtsi were rumored to have left the Belgorod region in Russia on June 24 for unknown reasons, but this was not the case. Belgorod's Shetinovka and Bogun Gorodok were still active zones for Zapad Akhmet and Interior Ministry units as late as June 27. By July 3 they had arrived in Naumovka, Russia. The Kadyrovtsi group claimed to be near Odnorbovka on the Kharkiv front on July 8, suggesting that they did not enter Ukraine until that day. After 2 weeks, they returned to Belgorod in pursuit of the «scumbags from Ukraine», who had attacked vehicles belonging to the Russian Defense Ministry. This seems to have been referring to an attack on Ukrainian territory by Chechen rebels. These Kadyrovtsi units allegedly attacked Ukrainian forces in Sotnitsky Kasachok, near Belgorod, in a preemptive strike on July 31. One strike was geolocated in a video of the attack to have missed Ukrainian territory entirely and hit a bush in Belgorod. They have persisted in their aggressive behavior toward the frontier. Most expected to fill the operational voids left by Prigozhin's mercenaries were the Akhmet Group Special Forces, which Kadyrov had once hoped would become his own competitor to Wagner. The Kadyrov are not currently participating in the conflict that the Akhmat Group is currently involved in. Captured members of Akhmat Group claim that the number of ethnic Chechens serving in the group has steadily decreased since its formation, with non-Chechens being forced to do the fighting in order to protect the remaining Chechens. Since Wagner abandoned Ukraine, the Akhmat Group has emerged as the most dangerous Chechen organization. They have captured a number of Ukrainian soldiers, but not because they are expected to replace the mercenary group. You can find extorted interviews with these POWs on the Telegram channels of Kadyrov and the commander of the Akhmat Group, Apti Alatanov. Since previous prisoners of war have been taken to Chechnya to meet Kadyrov, it is extremely concerning that the Akhmat Group has captured Ukrainian soldiers. The Sever Akhmat Battalion, which had its headquarters in the largely destroyed town of Marinka in eastern Ukraine at the start of the month, fought independently until it was able to join the Akhmat Group near Kleshchiivka. At the month's end, the unit's official Telegram channel began to discuss Ukraine's serious attempts to breach the line, signaling a change in attitude. Some days later, the battalion's leaders condemned rumors that Sever Akhmat had suffered heavy casualties. While the Kadyrov government's denials should be disregarded, unverified reports or eyewitness accounts are necessary before fully believing Ukrainian claims of mass casualties among the Kadyrov. Meanwhile, since Wagner's failed rebellion, Vostok Akhmat has been relatively peaceful. On July 14, they were rumored to be stationed on the Orakov front. They've been supposedly stationed near the town of Rabatine for the past month, and they're still there. It is unknown what they have been up to besides filming with Zvezda, the Defense Ministry's official television channel. Since Prigozhin's mutiny, only 2 National Guard units, the backbone of the Kadyrov, have been mentioned by Kadyrov as being deployed to the front lines. The 94th Regiment was not specified as to its location, while the special unit AKHMAT-1 was reported to be at the Zaporizhia front. In an earlier statement, Kadyrov said that they were communicating through all lines of contact. With Kadyrov's fear of losing control of his own security forces, it's unlikely that his 2 units in Ukraine are actually on the front lines. Last but not least, reports indicate that, since the beginning of August, 2 separate shootouts have occurred between unknown Kadyrov units and other Russian soldiers. 7 Azov civilians and several military personnel were killed in the initial incident. A second incident involving Kadyrov and Dagestani troops occurred a few days later in Mikhailovka, Zaporizhia. 20 people were killed and another 40 were hurt. Reportedly as a result of the shootout, the Kadyrov were transferred to the front lines as a form of punishment. Kadyrov who are bored and frustrated are dangerous. Furthermore, the proximity of these units to civilians increases when they are stationed behind the front lines. The Kadyrov are simply not capable of, and will never be able to, replace Wagner. Unlike Prigozhin, Kadyrov must worry about the safety of his own people at home, as Chechnya, which he rules with an iron fist after 2 separatist wars against Moscow in the 1990s and 2000s, is once again at risk of an insurgency. Kadyrov cannot afford to lose soldiers as badly as Wagner did in the battle for Bakhmut, according to Dr. Emil Aslan, a professor of security studies at Charles University in Prague. As long as casualties remain high, the Chechen leader will do everything in his power to keep his men away from the front lines. This, however, means that they will still present a very real, and not to be underestimated, threat to Ukrainian civilians.